Okay, so in this video we are going to take a look at our anagram game. And so we're going to begin with level 1. Level 1 asks you to create an array of words and include as many words in this array as you want. And so we do that by creating a variable. We're going to call it ARR. You can call it whatever you want. And we're going to create an array. And let's continue our Avengers theme. We're going to do Iron Man, Thor, Black Widow. Let's do the Hulk and Captain America. Oh yeah, I probably should include Hawkeye too, right? Okay. So now that I've got my original Avengers here in this array, I want to randomly select a word from this array and mix up its letters using the scramble function. And so to do that, I scramble, and then I want to grab a random element from the array. So to do that, to grab an element from the array, remember we use the bracket syntax, and we put in to that bracket the index of the element in the array that we want to grab. So if I wanted Iron Man, I'd put in a 0, Thor 1, Black Widow 2, etc. The way to grab a random element in the array is to use the random function that we used in a previous lesson. Remember, that's math.floor, math.random times array.length. Okay? Math.floor, math.random times array.length. So what that's going to do for us is give us a random index that's somewhere in this array. And let's just console log that and test out our code. Make sure that we did it right. Okay? Got Iron Man, Black Widow. Yep. We just keep going. Try to make sure that we don't have any errors popping up, and it looks like everything here is pretty good and that it's grabbing everything from the beginning to the end of the array. So that is what we need to do here. Scramble and then use this random function. Okay, so now I want to display the mixed up word to the player and ask the player to unscramble it. So in order to do that, remember, I'm returning from this function a string. And if I pass a string into my prompt function, right, the prompt thing that we've been using this whole time, I can prompt my user for something. So I'm going to prompt the string unscramble this Avenger. Now, of course, when you make your own, you'll use your own list of words. I expect that they won't be the Avengers, because you really should, try to include your own code in this. But you'll notice now when I press run, I get unscramble this Avenger, and then I get a mixed up version of that Avenger's name. Okay, wonderful. So now I want to store my user's guess, and I'm going to say var user guess equals prompt unscramble this Avenger. And so now user guess is going to be whatever my user types in, and I'm going to want to take the result from what my user has typed in, and I want to compare that to the Avenger that I'm grabbing here. And so in order to do that, I actually need to keep track of the index of the string that I'm pulling out of this array. So to do that, we're going to create a variable. I'm going to call it ARR index, and I'm going to make that equal to math.floor math random times array.length. So this is going to store the index in a variable that I'm going to be able to grab later on. And then when I prompt my user to unscramble the Avenger, I am going to pass into there the ARR index. So what this does is it scrambles a random location, but it also maintains this location for me in this ARR index variable. So now the next thing is I need to check the player's guess against the selected word. And so I'm going to write an if statement to do that. If user guess is equal to ARR at the ARR index, then I want to print out to the user. Remember, since we're using the prompt boxes, we're going to use alert instead of console log here. Alert, good guess, you win. And then if it's not, I'm going to alert the user, sorry about that, try again. Okay, so let's see if that works. If I run this, I'm going to unscramble this Avenger, and I'm going to unscramble it as Hawkeye. Okay. It says, good guess, you win. All right, now what if I do it wrong? This should be Black Widow, but let's say that I put in Hulk instead. Sorry about that, try again. So this works. So at that point, this is the level 1 of this assignment. Now, let's move on to level 2. So in order to make this game more fun, I want to keep track of how many guesses my users made and keep asking the user to unscramble different Avengers until they've run out of guesses. Okay, so I'm going to let's see, I'm going to set a variable for the number of guesses, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. And then I'm going to wrap this in a while loop. And I'm going to say while num guesses is less than 5. We're going to give our users 5 total guesses here. And then we're going to unscramble. Actually, let's make it 3 for demo purposes, because 5 will take a little too long. So we're going to get 3 total guesses here, and we're going to we're going to keep prompting the user until our num guess number has gotten above 3, or gotten to 3 or above. So I want to increment num guess only on cases where the user gets it wrong. Okay? And then I want to also keep track of the number of correct guesses that the user has made. And when the user gets it right, I want to increment num correct. Okay. So now if I run this program, this one is Iron Man. Good guess, you win. Okay, this one is Black Widow. Good guess, you win. Hawkeye. Good guess, you win. Now notice this is going to keep going until my user gets 3 wrong. So I'm going to get a few wrong on purpose. So I'm going to put in Thor. Okay, sorry about that. Try again. I'll put in Black Widow. All right. And then I'm going to do, let's just do Thor again. And notice, after I got 3 wrong, it kicked me out. Okay, so now I'm keeping track of the number that I've guessed and the number that I have correct. Now I want to print that out for the player after the game is over. So outside of my while loop, I want to have an alert statement. You got num correct right you took Um, you missed num guess. Okay, and what I could also do here is I could add a condition for num correct. If I got, say, 6 right, so if I do while num guess is less than 3, or num correct is less than 6, right? I'll keep going through my while loop, and then I'll print my my statement here at the end that will print out my user's record. Okay, so that gets through the first 2 levels of this game. The third level is a little bit harder. This is the level where you give hints if the player gets the word wrong. And so you'll need to keep track of whether the player's gotten it right or wrong. You could set up a second array that could contain hints, right? So you could do var hints equals, and then at the indexes of each of the items here, you could put like Tony Stark, right? You could put Mjolnir, Natasha, big green guy, etc., right? And then when you call the indexes, when you have the index, you can actually just call the hints array with the same index, and that'll give you the hint value. But you'll need to work out how to do that part on your own if you want to get those extra points. So I hope this was helpful, and I can't wait to see what you guys create with your own anagram games.